Hello, this presentation shows to you an additional approach that will allow you to handle an unlimited number of lines on the code using a single code. We have in an earlier video talked about how we can accomplish the same by splitting your lines into multiple codes and by aggregating those codes into a single view. However, this is another option based on our customer feedback. And for them, it was necessary to use a single code. So here, this approach relies on using a child object to the code line. And we will see how this approach works. So let's set the stage. So the situation that this client has is that they have 4,000 lines potentially on a code. And there we explored if a two-tier structure is possible. And essentially, they sell 4 products, but each product has 1,000 lines associated with it, because to make things simple, let me say that there are just 1,000 serial numbers for the quantity of 1,000. That is not exactly the use case, but that will suffice without going too much into the detail of the specific use case for the client. So imagine the customer is selling 4 products, quantity 1,000 each, and they need to, for their business process, maintain a code with 4,000 lines, each one of them with a serial number. So obviously, Salesforce CPQ, Salesforce RLM, they do not address more than a few hundred lines. So the approach we have come up with, and it is actually being implemented currently in production, is that we would then, and the proof of concept that we'll show you is with a smaller set of lines. So what we will do is we will leverage an Excel spreadsheet. You don't have to leverage an Excel spreadsheet. You could do it in Google, or you could do it in the custom object directly, but in Excel, it is easier to understand, and we have made it work with both Excel and Google. So for the use case we'll take is that the summary lines will be 4, and each summary line has 10 lines that support it, and those lines we will maintain into a child object for the code line, which we are calling the subcode lines. So in short, it will look something like this. So this was a proof of concept that we already created, and now it's in production. So let us say there's an Excel sheet with 4 summary lines. Each line has 10 associated lines with it, which is representative of the 1,000 serial numbers that I mentioned to you. The summary lines go into the standard code line object, and obviously with 4, there is no problem. And the supporting lines go into a custom object. We can call it either the extended code line object, or we can call it the sub code line object, or you can call it anything you want. And there is absolutely no limit to how many lines can go into that. So that is how we have architected the solution. So this is how your Excel sheet or your Google sheet would look. It could look differently. In this particular case, here are the groups of lines, and everything with the blue color goes into the code line object, and everything in green goes into the custom object. There are other ways to do it as well. As we will see in the demo, there's a slightly different approach. So let me go ahead and now actually show this to you. So as it shows over here, this goes into the standard code line object. This goes into the extended code line object. But then we are able to present to you a uniform view of everything together. Let us see how that works. So let us go ahead into Salesforce. So before we go into Salesforce, let me show you the Excel sheet. So here is a representation of a code with many, many code lines. In this case, we only have 40 to keep it simple for you to understand. But imagine this could be 40,000 lines also. Also, let us say that these 10 are grouped together. So these 10 all belong to the same SKU. It could be the same SKU. It could be the same location. It could be the same product family. Any which way you have a way of grouping them. In this case, we have kept it simple, and it is the same SKU because, like I explained, the use cases, each one has a separate different serial number. And we then have a quantity associated with it and a few standard columns. and those are mapped very easily to Salesforce CPQ fields. And there may be a column called serial number that has a unique serial number for each of these. So now let us see how it appears within a code. So let us go ahead. So here is a standard code. Right now there's nothing in it. And instead of edit lines, I'm going to click on Launch QLE Plus because that brings up our custom app. To begin with, it looks exactly the same as the normal app, and it is blank right now. You can add products and do everything that you normally do. But our focus is on the use case. As you can see, there are many tabs out there. This is what our app brings to the enhancements that we bring. And here within the context of the code line editor, so the user does not have to go anywhere. The Excel spreadsheet that they work on is surfaced within the context of this editor. So this is the same Excel spreadsheet that we saw. So here is the Excel spreadsheet where, or the Google, it could be a Google sheet, which is where they are maintaining all of their products. This can be a sheet with many tabs that they may be using for their internal purposes, and whichever way they have chosen to, they have kind of organized these products. And our goal is to make sure that all of these are represented on the same code, but at the same time, we want to summarize the ones which are associated with, let's say, this SKU into one line, with this SKU into another line, which is why I have color coded it so that it is easier for you to follow. So now let us see how does this automatically get fetched and populated into the CPQ code, which is right here. So right now it is blank. We can put a button right here to fetch it, or for this particular requirement that we are working with, they wanted the button to be at this level. So we put it over there. So again, I forgot to show you one thing. So here is your Excel sheet, and there can be many Excel sheets, by the way, and we won't go into the details of each one of them, but and then here is another object, and this is the child object that I was talking to you about, and this is blank. So even the child object is blank, and even the code lines are blank. So I just wanted to show that to you. So now I'm going to go ahead and fetch it. So what the system is going to do is it's going to go and look at that Excel sheet and summarize it, and it will bring the summary lines into the code line editor, and it will bring the supporting lines into the child object. So let's go ahead and now take a look at it. So here we are now looking at the code line editor once it comes up. So here are the 4 summary lines that you saw. And then all of the 4 summary lines have the supporting lines which are brought into this child object. So here are all of the, and here is a child object, the subcode lines. But it also maintains a reference of the code line it is associated with. So if you ever wanted to see that, you could just drag and drop this over here. And now you see the 4 code lines. And here are all of the supporting child objects. So this is how on this screen, you get a view of the entire set of lines in one screen. So here, there is no limit. You can have thousands, millions of lines over here. Whereas the code line editor has the summary lines. This is only if your business process enables you to segregate that. And from here, of course, all of the other capabilities that you may be aware of from an earlier video apply. Here you have all of the code lines and the subcode lines. And here from here, you can do various things such as export it to Excel, export it to CSV, you can do charting, etc. All of those capabilities are covered in another video. So this is how we are able to use or leverage the capabilities of Excel or Google within the code line editor, so that we can, within the limitations of what is available, which is only a certain number of lines over here, we can still accomplish our use case. Thank you.